The enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country with.
Why would you?
Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan, tariffing rice, 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices, and unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades.
I want to start on these tariffs. The market is on track right now for its worst weekly performance since March of 2020. How do you continue to be an advocate for these tariffs, given the sell-off we're seeing, given that I have had every source on our show this morning say that these tariffs will be causing a recession in the United States?
They don't know that yet. They don't know how long the tariff's going to be on. We've never done this before. We've never taken on the entire globe. Usually it's done in trade agreements with specific countries, such as NAFTA, which was Canada and Mexico, or a European Union situation. This is unique, over 60 countries. Now, there's two aspects to these tariffs. Number one is reciprocality against tariffs from one country to another based on products and services that are specific. So if you're charging a 20% tariff in India, it's going to be reciprocated in the United States. And those go away pretty quickly. That actually leads to fair trade. The more complex aspect of these negotiations are around the idea of trade imbalances. And so when you put on tariffs to try and fix trade imbalance, it's difficult because the largest economy on earth is the United States. So really you're starting a behemoth negotiation, and it's happening in every country. You highlighted Canada, but you might as well talk about Britain or even Switzerland, where I am right now, where they have over 30% tariffs imposed 48 hours ago. And so you can assume that behind the scenes are two spheres of negotiations. One is, let's try and reduce the imbalance of trade by buying more stuff from the United States. That's one signal. And the other, which is very easy to fix, is simply remove all tariffs. If you're going to have reciprocal tariffs at 20%, 30%, 40%, just get rid of them, bring them down to zero.
No, their economies are not crashing. The markets are reacting. No, their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting to a dramatic change in the global order in terms of trade. And so what happens is pretty straightforward. If you're a company and you make a bunch of your products in China, and all of a sudden shareholders or people that play the stock market realize that it's going to cost a lot more to produce in China, your stock is going to go down. But ultimately, the markets, as long as they know what the rules are going to be moving forward, and as long as that's set and you can sustain where you're going to be, the markets will adjust. Businesses around the world, including in trade and global trade, they just need to know what the rules are. Once they know what the rules are, they will adjust to those rules. So I don't think it's fair to say economies are crashing. Markets are crashing because markets are based on the stock value of companies who today are embedded in modes of production that are bad for the United States. We have to be a country that thinks we're the largest consumer market in the world, and yet the only thing we export is services. And we need to stop that. We need to get back to a time where we're a country that can make things, and to do that we have to reset the global order of trade.
The other part of my question
Well, the worst thing is to leave it the way it is forever. I mean, this just can't continue. We can't continue to be a country that doesn't make things. We have to be able to make things to provide jobs for Americans. That's it. It's that simple. China is an example. I mean, it's outrageous. I mean, they don't consume anything. All they do is export and flood and distort markets, in addition to all the tariffs and barriers they put in place. So the president rightly has concluded that the current status of global trade is bad for America and good for a bunch of other people, and he's going to reset it, and he's absolutely right to do it.
If 80 days into the Harris administration, we dropped $10 trillion of market capitalization, and all of our trading partners lost faith with us, Kevin would be having a heart attack over it. But go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin, how are you feeling tonight? Can you defend the tariffs?
I try and focus on the signal, not the noise. Harris is not president. Trump is. And if you don't like him 12 years ago, you don't like him now, and I get it. I completely get it. But that's not the issue. Let's talk about the situation here. Reciprocal tariffs that have been put in place, they're basically hours for some country. We've got 60 countries on the list. Already, you've heard from Thailand, Cambodia, the EU, and Senator Kenney in Louisiana calling for zero tariffs between Canada and the United States. The whole point is it's a negotiation. And if you can get to zero tariffs, that's the best outcome. That's called free trade. That's 50% of why these tariffs are put on. So I'd argue to you, yeah, I hate volatility. I don't like it when the market corrects, but the market corrects all the time. And it generally goes down 15 to 20%. It's proven over 100 years plus. It's a great buying opportunity, and we just got the jobs numbers. The economy is just fine. Now, maybe you don't like watching sausage being made. Obviously, Trump doesn't care. He's an unusual character that way. A lot of these negotiations are done in private quarters. Trump doesn't care. You saw the first of that with Lewinsky. It was, that's just the way he operates. So I don't care about the noise. I care about the outcome.